So chapter 15 is about Upward Sports, and I wanted to specifically cover this because they do have a Christian focus, and I wanted to kind of apply the things that we've been talking about to the Christian aspect in how people are going to be able to apply this from a managing and marketing perspective. So it's exciting to think about in this book is the idea that sport is going to be used as a way for people to understand the relationship that God is trying to have with them, and also the lifestyle that God, I guess, expresses through Jesus's life in the Bible as well. And so, one question that I get asked about being a Christian educator is they say, like, how are you a Christian professor? And like, what do you do differently? And one of the base things about adding Christianity to anything you do within your business is that you have to have what I call like a grade A product. And the good product is the education. In this case with Upward, it is the sport. Like the sport itself has to be fun and exciting, and the league has to function before we can do anything really with our Christian perspective. So for instance, let's say that you join your child joins Upward, and the skill level of the athletes are subpar to the city league. Well, eventually, people may stay in Upward because they want to be associated with, Christian ethics. But ideally, the best combination would be having the Christian aspect added to the great competition. And so what people are signing up for in Upward is the opportunity to get to be, I think, in a Christian setting and play sport. And so I know that it's just opposite of what I said, but even though people say that they're signing up for a Christian experience, at the base of their buying experience, or they're buying into it, they are also wanting their kid to have a good sport experience. So I don't think that I don't think that Christianity through Upward is necessarily a bad thing, and it doesn't necessarily means that it goes before sports. But if the adding or having a sport experience is the core element of what they're offering, and part of that core element is having a Christian atmosphere, the Christian atmosphere can't overtake the base product of needing to have a good sport experience. And the same goes for the Christian experience can't compensate for having a poor sport experience. So ideally, we want to have one and the same, a good sport experience and a Christian atmosphere that has values, and teaches their coaches how to coach as a Christian coach. And so I personally have had my child enrolled in a city league, and this is my first year. We're fixing to enroll in the Upward League. So I'm kind of excited to see the difference. Everything from the outside of Upward looks great, and so I'm interested to see how the experience plays out. But ideally, in the city league, as a coach, we were given a coaching manual and one mini coaching session, and that's it. When I approached the league about some parent issues and some things that I thought was, maybe a bad home life for the kid, their stance on it was, well, we don't have to legally get involved. If you feel like this kid is being abused, then you can report it to CPS. And so, from the get-go in that experience, I can see the difference in the way that the leagues are set up, in that the sole purpose of the city league is just to provide an opportunity and mildly keep everybody happy, whereas Upward Sports has a much bigger impact. And this goes back to the model that Upward Sports is trying to create, and this is developing an athlete mentally, athletically, spiritually, and socially, which I think should be a part of any educational program, whether they are Christian or not. I like to think of Christianity as a way of life and not something that you add to it. Meaning that your brand, and in this case the league, it's a way of life. It's like a school of thought. You can't separate the two. And so it is a very successful program. It has over 2,500 church partners. Um, and over the past 19 years, over 4.5 million young athletes and 1 million leaders have been involved in the Upward Sports program. I think that is very awesome that they've been able to do this. In 2012, they also recognized the need for maybe a more competitive focus. I will say there's also quite a bit of money involved in youth competitive sports, and some cities are even kind of, I guess, mapped around the idea that this tournament comes in every year and we make this amount of money from that tournament. So sport tourism related to youth sport is a multi-billion-dollar business, and so it would make sense that the church would also get involved with being influential in that realm as well. And there's nothing wrong with Christians or churches being able to create programs that make money. I think the big part is that if people are already doing this, meaning they're already traveling for sports, they're already wanting to be involved in competitive sport, how can we make it a more Christian experience for them? And how can we provide them a service that they're currently not getting with a Christian focus? And so what's awesome about the 360 progression is that if you think about like the core product of Upward Sports was just to provide youth leagues. And then they took a next step and said, now we're going to have competitive leagues. And so were able to create a new product that at first was I guess a brand extension from what they were currently doing, and now has become part of their core value as well. And so that is focused on the Bible verse of Jesus, and Jesus grew in wisdom and stature and in favor with God and man. And so you can start to see how they've continued to grow. And all of this kind of came out of the idea that, there's a place in the market that is currently not being serviced, and how can we better do that from a Christian perspective? And so the book is kind of talking about them going through a rebranding process. And so I just wanted to quickly go over to the website and show you how they're able to integrate that better. Notice that each of these icons has an actual athlete, and it has different ethnicities, different gender. And the only thing I would encourage, let's see, it says baseball, softball. And so we have the Recreation League and then the Performance Sports program over here. Oh, select a sport. So it looks like they only have basketball and volleyball over here. Let's see, baseball. No active leagues. And so that's why I was kind of wondering that it was kind of weird that it says baseball, softball. I'm not even seeing a softball option. So I think that would be something, especially with the softball coming back into the Olympics, that they would need to offer, or that they could offer. So yeah, I was going to see if maybe if I put in a different zip code, it would come up with a different result, but it doesn't. So that's a little confusing. That's something I would definitely change. There's all kinds of great information on their webpage. And I like these annual report. It also has their audited financial statements. I've actually looked at these prior to this class, but it has some really great information. And I always think it's important to look at people's finances when you're deciding if the organization kind of is who they say that they are. So you can see here that the assets is 61 million and the liabilities is 19 million. And the total liabilities and net assets comes out to 61 million about. And I guess at the end of the year, it looks like we have 42 million, and then let's see, cash flows. So it goes through all of what they're spending their money on. It just kind of gives you a really good summary in general. So you're probably wondering why I went and looked at their finances, and because what I got interested in is whenever I was reading about the Upward Star Center, I was thinking, man, this must be quite expensive. So this is a great website to kind of learn a little bit more and kind of see what they do. And so notice that they have their mission and values, and that's what I'm asking you to do as well. It kind of goes through each of these, the expectation of God moments. We believe that God is at work all around us. The life of integrity, we believe how we live is important than what we say, or is more important than what we say. The opportunity to serve, we believe it's a privilege to serve others. The discipline of excellence, the priority of children. We believe that every child is a winner. So if you want a good example of, values, I think this is a great example. Our mission is to promote the discovery of Jesus through sports, no matter what sport or event, whether it's a youth volleyball camp or an Upward Stars basketball travel team or an adult soccer league. We at Upward Star Center are intentional about using the gospel of Christ as a driving force behind every sports program. We are a team passionate about using sports as an outlet to get our athletes to the next level on and off the court. And so I pretty much geek out whenever I see all of this great stuff on a web page related to a company. And one of the reasons why I guess liked covering or wanted to talk about Upward is because they have done so much, and people have come along and I guess made it better. And where they started, of course, is not where they are, but you can see how the brand has evolved based on the needs of the customer. And so this whole idea of an indoor sports park 10 years ago, people might have, thought it wasn't a good idea. Nowadays, these sport complexes, like the Field House, and there's a couple of in Dallas, but the one in Frisco has a couple of different locations, and they have franchised the building, and they're starting to go to malls, and they're starting to have they're starting to put these sport complexes in malls. One, because they have high ceilings, but two, because a lot of the like Sears and JCPenney's are going out of business because of all the online shopping. So when you think about what's going on in our society and technology and how it's changing, and then you think about the progression of Upward Sports and how they're able to capitalize that and provide a facility where people can really come in and experience what God has intended for them to experience through their sport is just pretty mind-blowing, and I have to commend them for making that opportunity available.